The battle for the presidency of the United States of America has gone down right down to the wire. This is the final stretch of voting, and it is Joe Biden who has quite clearly got a lead in this case. So this is what the tally looks like. This is still, remember, a provisional tally. But you have Joe Biden, who is quite clearly leading. He's got 264 electoral votes in the Electoral College. Donald Trump is trailing at just about 214. He needs to win 4 of the remaining states to in fact get to that magic figure. And to give us more insight in terms of what is happening with the final stretch of counting, we're joined in by our correspondent Jagruti Dave, who's tracking all the developments very closely for us from Washington, D.C. Now, Jagruti, get us the latest. What's happening? Joe Biden's camp looks pretty confident that they are on their way to victory.
Well, what has happened in the last few moments is an extraordinary press conference by President Donald Trump in the White House, where he once again cast doubt on the validity of the election, claiming that it was being rigged by the Democrats, and claiming that he would easily win the election if legal votes were counted. These are all claims without evidence. They are unfounded. He has long been casting doubt on the validity of mail-in voting. If you remember, we've talked about this so many times on this program, where he is claiming that mail-in voting is subject to fraud when there is no evidence. Independent studies and accounting by states that have used mail-in voting in their election cycles, there is no evidence to show that there is widespread election fraud. And Joe Biden reacted to this on Twitter, saying that, essentially saying that there will be, our threat to democracy there will be no threats to this democracy. And he has also faced criticism from some Republicans. Mitt Romney, the governor of Maryland, who's a Republican governor. There are some Republicans who are speaking out, saying that the president shouldn't be making these claims, that they should be allowing the voting to continue, and that if there are any issues, as Mitt Romney said, that they will be handled by the courts, and that Americans should have faith in the democracy. A lot of people are saying it's dangerous for the president to be making these claims. Some people are saying that this is a sign that the president is a sign of weakness in the Trump campaign. This is not a president who has come out in a show of strength that he knows he's going to win. Of course, the results are very close in several key states like Georgia, where where the results are coming in and the gap between the two candidates is ever close. The results haven't been called yet, but as I say, more and more results coming in, and that pathway, that gap to the between the two candidates is narrowing.
Absolutely, indeed, Jagruti. Now, people across the world are watching this counting process very closely. What a lot of people are thinking at this point of time is, in this final stretch of counting, why is it taking so long? Why can we not go through this final stretch of counting pretty quickly and then declare a winner?
Well, it's absolutely normal to continue counting voting after election day. That is standard procedure, and part of the reason why it's taking a long time is because of the record numbers of people who have voted in this election, and also the fact that there's been a surge in mail-in voting because of the coronavirus pandemic. Postal votes take longer to count than regular votes, and that is why it is taking longer to count these ballots. It is clearly frustrating for people who want to know the result now, but again, it is very normal procedure for votes to continue to be counted. And what critics of the president are saying when he is casting doubt on the process, when he's casting doubt on the results, is that it is shaking the foundations of trust in American democracy, which a lot of people, a lot of Republicans, both privately and mostly privately and some in public, are saying that that is a dangerous thing to happen.
Absolutely, indeed. And there was also this extraordinary tweet that Donald Trump, in fact, put out 3 words where he said, "Stop the count." You mentioned that this is actually not even going down well, even within his own Republicans. He will take this to the courts. What are the courts saying at this point of time?
Yes, he has said that in this press briefing that he gave, that he is expecting further litigation. He potentially taking this to the Supreme Court. It's unclear whether that is going to happen yet. He has launched several lawsuits in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, most recently Nevada. Some of those lawsuits have been dismissed by judges in Georgia, for example, as not sort of able to go forward, that they are not solid cases, and so they have been thrown out by judges. So it's really unclear as to how many of these lawsuits are going to go ahead. It's too early to tell at the moment what is going to happen. The votes, as I say, are being counted, and all eyes are really on those states, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, where one of those, especially Pennsylvania, where if Joe Biden gets it, he has won the election. He has passed that 270 number. So, this is still a bit of a waiting game.
Absolutely, indeed. It is a bit of a waiting game, but the margins are really, really close in some of these states. Something that a lot of people looking at the proceedings right now from outside the United States, what they're going to be wondering is that there was a huge controversy about the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett as a Justice of the Supreme Court. Donald Trump now feels that, look, there is a conservative majority in the Supreme Court with a number of 6-3. Now, a lot of people would wonder if he were to go ahead with the litigation, because the rules for the election have been framed within the states, and that is why there is such a disparity between how the votes are being counted in different states. So the rules have been framed within the states. So if this were to be a case that were to be heard, will it be heard in the respective state courts, or will it directly go to the Supreme Court, where Donald Trump has a conservative majority?
Well, if there is a case, it will be a lot of the cases that are having the lawsuits that are being launched now are being launched within the states themselves. Now, if you remember, in 2000, the George Bush v. Al Gore, the Supreme Court intervened in a federal court, in a state court ruling. So there are processes to go. There are rules and processes, and at the moment, so much of this is unprecedented that we have to wait and see. The pathway in which the litigation takes hold, and whether, even after the results are through, after the results come in, what that pathway is, first of all. Does Joe Biden get to that 270 margin, get to that 270 number? At what point does the litigation sort of escalate and go to the Supreme Court? All of that at the moment is very much contingent on what happens in the next few hours and the next day or so with those key results coming in from battleground states.
Absolutely, indeed. And just before we let you go, Jagrati, everyone wants to know, everyone is waiting with bated breath, how soon can we now have a result?
Well, the counting is still happening. We are not getting an indication of, final timings yet. There clearly, there's a lot of pressure on the states and on the counters. That these people are doing a really difficult job in incredibly tense environments. So the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania said that the overwhelming majority of votes are likely to come in by Friday Eastern time. So probably tomorrow we may have a result, or may have a better idea at the very least of what Pennsylvania is looking like, which is, of course, as we've just talked about, one of those incredibly crucial battleground states.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Jagrati, for joining us from Washington, D.C. We'll, of course, get back to you as more details emerge in this story.